So the last lecture burst I posted dealt with conformity, cut off just right at the end. The last thing I wanted to say was to make sure you watch the video I posted about conformity and groupthink. The two concepts are very interrelated. However, we're going to reserve talking about groupthink until we get to chapter 11 and we spend some more time on the influence of groups. But I really want you to watch this short video by Khan Academy. It's going to cover conformity and then how it relates to groupthink. In this lecture burst, we're going to spend some more time talking about compliance. So while conformity is pressure to go along with a group for various reasons, compliance is complying with other people's direct requests. And there's different methods people might use to get people to comply with their requests. Think about when you want something from your parents. How do you approach them? You want them to comply with whatever it is you're asking. You might choose to use a particular strategy that you know works to get them to say yes, right? And so marketing operates off these compliance principles, and so does the media and political agendas and all of those different types of things. So compliance is often referred to as persuasion. It's an area of research that's been pioneered by Robert Cialdini, and it deals with getting someone to do what you want via a direct request. So I'm asking you for something, or I'm pressuring you into something. So that request can be verbal or nonverbal, but either way, it can be very effective. So what we're going to do is look at the 6 different principles of compliance, the different constructs that are used as a means to get someone to comply with something that you want. The first one is friendship or liking. We're more likely to comply with something a friend is asking, or if it's someone we like that's making the request, we're more likely to go along with it. And this can involve ingratiation techniques. And I think I have this spelled wrong here. Yes, it's not integration, it's ingratiation, getting someone to like us so that they comply with our requests. If I can get someone to like me, research shows they're more likely to go along with what I'm saying. So flattery helps. Remember when we talked about first impressions, that we use certain strategies to make a good first impression? Well, why do we do that? We want someone to like us, whether it's for a job interview or a first date. We're going to put on our best face because we know that it matters. We know that it's going to increase the likelihood that that person will hire us or will date us for a second date. So we use different techniques to get people to comply, and that can involve friendship or liking. The second one is commitment or consistency. If we make a commitment to something, if we take an action, what we do is that then in our heads, we've already known we've taken that action. And then we're more likely to comply with requests for actions that are consistent with that commitment we already made. So a couple of techniques come into play here: foot in the door technique and low ball technique. So foot in the door technique deals with starting with a small request and then increasing it. So you know that somebody might not commit to buying $100 set of knives, but you think you might be able to get someone to buy a $19.99 set of knives, and you're going to try to work your way up, and that can be very effective. A lowball technique would be, and this happens a lot when you buy a car. If you've ever bought a car, maybe you were the victim of lowball technique, changing the deal after the person has already accepted it. So you agree to a certain price, they've lowballed you, now you get into the back room, you're ready to sign all the paperwork for your fancy new car, and then they start adding on all sorts of additional fees which ups the price of the car, you've just been lowballed. And it works because the person's already made a commitment. You've already said, yes, I want to buy this car. You've agreed. You're in the back. You've already spent some of your precious time, hours maybe there, negotiating, and now you feel committed, and so you're less likely to renege on that commitment, even though it's now not as nice as you thought it was going to be. So those techniques can work well. Also, the scarcity technique. If we make someone feel like they have to have it now, it creates this high demand for an item. So we comply if it involves outcomes or objects that are relatively scarce. We like what we can't have, or what not many people have, or what we think isn't going to be around very long. So gimmicks like hurry in quick, limited time only, these are deadline techniques that make people feel the pressure that something is going to be gone, and if they don't get it now, they're going to miss out. So offers have a finite amount of time, and the price is going to go up after the sale is over. eBay makes really good use of this time with their auctioning. As you see that deadline nearing, you might fear that you'll miss out. You might put in another bid, and it operates pretty well in that sense. Also, reciprocity. Reciprocity states that we're more likely to comply if the request comes from someone who's done us a favor in the past. So compliance here is enhanced by obligation. The door in the face techniques works this way, where you start with a large request and then decrease it. So that's the opposite of the foot in the door technique. So here you kind of know that I'm going to ask someone for something and they're going to say no because it's not feasible for them. And so you do it on purpose. You start really high when that was never really your intent in the first place. Your intent was actually something lower. But you do it because if you say something high and they say no, and then it seems like you're compromising when you offer something lower. And so then they're more likely to go with that. The that's not all technique is adding something to the original offer to enhance its apparent value. So it's kind of like it sweetens the deal before the target person has accepted the deal. So this might involve like free gifts or add-ons. Reciprocity is seen through free samples. When you're given something free, you're more likely, research shows, to then go and buy it later and use it later. And that all works off reciprocity. Social validation states that we're more likely to comply if we believe that similar others are doing the same. So remember social comparison, we're always looking to other people to see how we feel about things and what's popular, trends, what's trending. So we're constantly looking to others to kind of see how we might feel about something. So gimmicks like this is the fastest growing product, this is the largest selling thing, these appeal to us because it makes us think that others like this. And if others like it, I'm probably going to like it too. Playing hard to get can also be a construct of social validation, where we see this in job candidates. A job candidate who's entertaining other offers is more likely to get the job. Why? Because social validation. An employer who's hiring a job candidate and knows that many other employers also want this job candidate all of a sudden feel like, well, I don't want to miss out on this person. They seem really in demand. If I miss out, I'm not going to have the right person. And so this puts some power in the seat of the person applying for the job. They can play hard to get. They can, negotiate a salary or other things a little bit better. And then the last principle of compliance is authority. And we're going to see this in the Milgram study next when we talk about obedience. But authority operates off the fact that we're more likely to follow the requests of somebody we view as an authority figure or an expert. Hence the reason why commercials for drug companies often involve people wearing glasses or wearing lab coats They're actors dressed to look like experts. And why? Why does that matter? Why do that? Because we're more likely to believe an expert. We're more likely to think a drug is powerful and good and has more efficacy if we see someone that we deem an authority figure promoting that drug or promoting that product. So who the person is that's sending the message, the messenger, that matters a lot in how we decide to comply or not. So this ends this section of the lecture burst. The next one will cover obedience.